bring that up on your screen too if you want to.
Oh, I probably could. And we're ready to start volleyball tonight. The Chapman Irish in town taking on the homestanding Smoky Valley Vikings, and we are at senior night as well, but we'll have a senior night presentation for the statistician. No seniors on this volleyball team, and they're such a good record, Doug, that it's really interesting that they're doing so well.
Yeah, they've had a fantastic season. Like you said, a lot of young players here that have kind of worked their way through the program here and have really kind of put their own stamp on the program and kind of got things going this year the way they want. Had an excellent weekend, finished second in the Abilene tournament, including a big win over the #1 team in 3A, Royal Valley. So it should be exciting tonight to see them play on their last home stand.
The Vikings are serving first, and who is serving for us? It looks like
McKinley Johnson back there getting us started.
First serve is up, dug out, set up, a spike coming, and just a flip over, and
they call a net violation on the Vikings. Looked like a net violation there on Aubrey Boldress, so that's going to be point for Chapman.
And you'll have to explain to me and some of the other listeners that they just bump into the net, and that's a violation.
Exactly.
So Chapman gets a point. Chapman serving, set up. Abby Rose with a big kill, but it's out of bounds.
Beautiful hit by Abby. Ball's off the block, and it ends up out of bounds, so that's going to be a point for the Vikings.
So 1-1 on the scoreboard. In the play, it's what you call rally scoring, so there's a point on every serve. Carrington Haxton now with the serve, dug out just barely, and they're just going to have to hit it back over. There's a good set. And again, a nice hit, and in the net, Chapman, right?
Exactly, in the net by Chapman, but a great hit from the backside there as well from Belle Peters, hitting off the right side. Probably was going to be a point either way, so a great job by the Vikings there as well.
2-1 Vikings. Carrington Haxton serve in the net, so that makes it 2-2 here, just underway from Smoky Valley Gym. Senior night for the Smoky Valley Vikings. And their record 20... I'll get that in just a moment. Good serve. Set up. Spike coming by Rose. Blocked, but out of bounds. Point for Smoky Valley. Abby Rose got some good height. She really gets up and blocks well.
Yes, she really does. She's got good length. Very athletic. She does an excellent job.
Her serve now comes in. It's a set up and spike coming from Chapman, but dug out nicely by the Vikings. Set up. A hit coming and... up on the ceiling. It's played live, correct? Yes, it is. Now set up and a spike coming. Dug out nicely by Heitschmidt. And back to her for a spike. Long and hit out of bounds. Point Smoky Valley. That was a good rally.
Excellent rally. And again, ball's live on the same side of the court as long as it comes down on the same side of the court after it hits something in the rafters. And that was a great job playing it out by Chapman, but an excellent hit there to finish up.
Rhodes' serve again. Set up nicely. Spike coming. And dug out nicely by Rose. And a long spike. And down for another Viking point. Abby Rose. What do you call that, a mid-court spike?
Call that a back row attack. She had a nice back row attack there. She actually makes the nice pass and is able to set it up for McKinley to set her up, and she hits a beautiful shot down the middle.
Tapped over and point for Chapman. Bree Franklin went up to block it and just went off her fingertips and found an open spot on the court. 5-3, Smoky Valley leads.
Yeah, always a tough when the ball comes off a tip like that, and you just have to try to get down on the floor as quickly as you can. Didn't really have that attack there. Hopefully we can get that better as the evening progresses.
Serve coming, dug out by Haxton. Over to Franklin and tipped up, but not over the net, and it's a point Chapman. 5-4 now, our score.
Yeah, that was one kind of in no man's land. The set came out there, and I couldn't tell if they were trying to come to the far, or the near side here, if they were trying to go to Bree in the middle, and it was kind of like that tough spot where nobody knew who to get.
5-4 Vikings. Chapman serving. Dug out nicely by Haxton. McKinley makes a nice setup. And Franklin with a great hit scores a point for the Vikings.
Yeah, that was a nice play out of system there. The original pass takes off a little bit further away than what we want to get. McKinley got to it, was able to get the ball back to the middle, and Bree was able to drive one home.
You'll have to explain to me and some of the listeners about the substitution rules and why they pair up and go on the sideline. We'll get to that in a little bit. Ramsey now, at least Ramsey into serve. Dug out nicely, set up. Shot coming, but dug out nicely by the Vikings. Ramsey with the setup. Oh, that one's going to be long, but Chapman played it. That ball's still in play, still a rally going. Set up nicely by Ramsey. Franklin with a little dump, saved by Chapman. Set up coming, spike, oh, blocked back, dug out. Good play by both sides there. And that one's out on the sideline. Good point for Smoky Valley after a long rally.
Yeah, beautiful rally there and an excellent job getting passes up. And the blocks are doing a really good job so far as well.
What button do I have to hit to watch it on my computer? And that one's deep, another point for the Vikings. Oh, there we go, sorry. So Vikings up 8-4 now. They've gotten a 3-point rally. Dug out nicely by Chapman. Set back up, left-handed spike, and it's going to be deep. Another point for Smoky Valley. They're kind of on a little bit of a roll right now.
Yeah, it's a great opening for them. They've been playing it really close to the vest here as far as their hits, and able to get Chapman to hit the ball deep most of the time and playing that line beautifully.
Serve coming in by Ramsey. Set up and a spike. Good block, but dug out by Ramsey. And over by Maddie Toll. Maddie Toll with a little tip. That's really not a kill, it's just a tip.
Well, it counts as a kill either way, but it's a beautiful job of attacking the net off the pass that came up there, and she put a nice ball down.
Chapman digs. Set up coming over to the near side. Good setup by Ramsey. Now Toll with it. That's a little deep and goes back. Good play by the girls. But there comes in no man's land. The deep player, the libero for Chapman, but hit it up by the net, and everybody was waiting for a different setup. So 11-4 now, Vikings with the lead. That's a 6-0 run. And another one falls in no man's land for the Vikings. And now Chapman calls a timeout so they can break this momentum a little bit more than anything.
Yeah, it's really big right now. Smoky's got things rolling in the right direction. You mentioned the sub patterns. What we tend to do a lot of times in the sub patterns is we will rotate setters out in the front row, bring that person that's going to be the setter in the back row for one of our taller girls. It's our front row hitters. So in the scenario tonight, you'll see players coming out as they get back to serve. You'll bring your setter in. That makes her those 3 rotations in the back row. That setter that started in the game is going to come out in the front row for another hitter. Again, it's very important. You have to start in the right positions on the floor and not be covered up by another player. And so that's that rotational pattern. And then Carrington's coming in right now in the back row to play back row position some tonight as well.
And what do the officials mark down on their little scorecard? They have to mark down, is there only a certain number of substitutions?
Yeah, you have a limited number of total substitutions for a match. It used to be per position. Now it's total substitutions in a match. And it's difficult to get to that.
12-4 the score. Vikings still serving. There's a dig by the Chapman Irish, set up. And a nice spike, and it found an opening there. It was tipped at the net, and it just made it go out a little farther, and point for Chapman after a good timeout by their coach.
Yeah, that's how you want to respond after the timeout, is get that point back and get the ball back in your hands. You got to, again, get a little momentum going. It's a game of momentum all the way.
Dug out by Toll. Ramsey coming for a set. Franklin with a deep shot, but it's too deep and out of bounds. So a 2-0 run by the Chapman Irish now.
That was a great idea, though. That deep corner has been open a number of times. They really tend to suck up here a lot. And if you can hit that deep corner once in a while, that keeps them honest.
Oh, Haxton can't handle the serve, and it goes out of bounds. So a 3-0 rally by Chapman to make the score 12-7. Vikings on top.
And we don't know a lot about Chapman, didn't get any specific info, but I saw the Kirkpatrick girl who's serving right now. She got a lot of hits in the front row when she was there. Seems to be one of the players they look to be one of their leaders.
Nice shot by Toll right on the line. Oh.
Yeah, going to call it out. Going to call it out.
Call it out. We'll see it on the replay here.
Tough angle for us over here.
Yeah, it's a little bit close. There's a nice dig by Toll. Hit by Franklin. That was tipped at the line, and that was the point for the Vikings. So that stops the 4-0 rally by Chapman. So tell me a little bit about the rule on the line, the ball on the line. Does it have to be completely out to be out, or what?
Yeah, any part of the ball touches the line, it's in.
Serve coming by the Vikings, dug out by Chapman. Spike coming, blocked, and blocked inbounds for a point for the Vikings. Maddie Toll with a nice block.
Yeah, beautiful block. Double setup over there, and they did an excellent job being able to put that down.
The Vikings now on top 14-8. Good set, little tip-off and save by the Vikings. Good back over the net. Kind of a little mix-up there. Didn't get a good spike, but got it over the net. Here's another, just a little flip by Toll. It didn't get over the net. Good idea. They weren't expecting that. And that's a little subtle play that can often be effective.
Yeah, when you're out of system, you want to be in system. And system means you get a nice pass, nice set, nice hit. When you're out of system, you can do little dumps like that really open up the game for you.
Ramsey with a nice set for Franklin. Beautiful spike there. That was a nice kill.
And that was one in system there. Got a nice pass, put the ball right where you wanted it to on the net. Got a beautiful back set on that right side, and she drove it home.
How do they communicate where they're going with that set?
Everybody's got to be ready. Sometimes you'll have an early call, but for the most part, you keep everybody on that front row ready, and as soon as the ball takes off, you're ready to go.
Over the net, Vikings dig it out. Ramsey ball gets on the net, though, and goes over to Chapman now, and making the score 15-10, Vikings lead.
I'd say the biggest frustration right now for Smoky has been since the timeout. We haven't really passed the ball quite as well. We had a lot of energy prior to the timeout and kind of starting to build back up to that. It's always tough in that 5 o'clock match to try to draw that energy as well.
Good spike by Rose that was just really hammered down. That's her efficiency. You mentioned that. We got some stats. The Vikings' efficiency for her is .333. That's a pretty good percentage.
It really is. She's hitting the ball extremely well, and she got on top of it so well there. She was actually 3 or 4 feet off the net and still able to drive it with a beautiful arc. You want to try to get that ball down as often as you can on that 10-foot line, which number 15 standing on right now. That's the spot you really shoot for. If you can get it in there, it's excellent. She was a little deeper than that, but the angle she had was tremendous.
And how tall is the net?
You're asking me questions. I've been out of the mix long enough. Sorry.
Nice spike by Kirkpatrick, blocked by the Vikings, but it goes out of bounds. Point for Chapman, 16-11 on our way. The first one to 25. Win by 2, right?
Win by 2, you're correct.
There's a left-handed serve, dug out by Franklin. McKinley Johnson, and a long spike, and over the head and out of bounds. 16-12 now. Chapman trails the Smoky Valley Vikings. Vikings are on their way to Sub-State this Saturday. Talk a little bit more about that later. Spike a long distance and tip by Chapman. Hit over by Chapman. Now set up by the Vikings. Rose tips it, but dug out nicely by Chapman. A little communication error, and Vikings get a point. I don't know what that happened. It just didn't get to where the pass was going to go.
Well, a lot of times you want that second pass to be in your setter's hands, and if it doesn't end up in the setter's hands, sometimes there's a communication issue. You always want the girls to be talking in that particular situation. It didn't look like the communication was there.
Haxton now in to serve for the Vikings. That was set beautifully, and result is a point for Chapman. Those good sets right by the net usually are successful.
Yeah, and a lot of times if you get that great angle on this set, that's what she did there, was able to run the ball across the top of the net, and it was a tough play to pick up.
Dug out on the serve by the Vikings. By coming, and great job by Addie Heitschmidt on that kill.
Yeah, really taking the ball right at the blockers. Blockers were off the net just a little bit. And if you can squeeze that ball right in between their hands and that inner part of the net, you can usually get that ball to drop.
Rose serve, tipped by Chapman. Spike coming. Vikings are going to be able to save it. Set up and over to Heitschmidt and down again. And a point for the Vikings. Heitschmidt's had a couple of nice hits.
She has, and the Vikings have some really good players that elevate extremely well. When the sets are on, they have a great opportunity to get the kill.
Rose's serve, ace. You know, I guess you don't call it an ace on the serve, or do you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and that was a great spot. That was one of those. A lot of times when you serve the ball here, they're based on numbers. So I haven't been paying attention to Coach Ramsey enough, but most coaches will say where they want to serve. If you see a coach hold a 1 up, they're going toward the server or that back corner, left corner. 2 goes across the front, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You notice that serve almost landed right at the 10-foot line. If you can drop that serve in that tight, a lot of times those front row players aren't ready to make that play, and that's exactly where she put the ball there. That was beautiful.
The Vikings with a 20-13 lead, and they have to get to 25 to get the victory. So they're well on their way to victory here in game one, but you don't never count it over until it's over.
No, with the rally scoring, the game could change very quickly, and it definitely adjusts the game. You know, when I used to coach early on and we didn't have rally scoring and we had side outs, you could play a match that lasts quite a long time, but it's a quick change now.
Rose is still on her serve. She's had several in a row now. Set coming for Chapman. Oh, and tipped nicely by number 20. That is Tamara Tiller, a sophomore.
Tell you, Chapman's timeouts have both been successful. They came out of the last one, got the first point. They came out of this one, got the first point. So exactly what you want to get after your timeouts.
Serve coming, dug out by Haxton. Tip over by McKinley Johnson, but saved by Chapman. They get it now, and the Vikings get a reset. And here comes Belle Peters with a nice little hit. Not a powerful hit, but just in the right spot.
It's one of those you like to call a little off-speed action. She just dropped it right over there to the toughest spot. You got blockers that are sliding in. If you can get it over that front row of blockers, that's a really tough angle over there to pick up from the back row.
And another thing, when somebody comes out now, like McKinley Johnson just came out, how long does she have to stay out?
Well, she can go back in at any point in time, but she has to go back in for the exact same player that she came out for.
I see. There you go. Toll with the dig. Elise Ramsey with the set. Comes Heitschmidt with the kill, and boy, right into a bad position on the Chapman player. She couldn't handle it.
That's another one. They were able to beat the block that time. The block was not there in time, and Addie drove the ball. Nobody that back row was able to get that one up.
Ramsey, deep serve, and it goes back, and it hits the standard upside, and they can't make the play, and another point for the Vikings. The Vikings now 23-14. Only need 2 more points to secure game one. Ramsey at the serve line. Little flat, nice driving serve. And the kill goes, oh, it's in. Good shot. That was right on the line, looked like.
It was. Always a tough one, too, because you start to think maybe it's going to be a smidge deep, and then you draw that line perfectly. That's a tough one.
That's a good spike. So 23-15 our score. Vikings still lead. Toll. Oh, wow. She was trying to get a set by the front line, but it went too deep, and the Chapman player hit it over, but hit it out of bounds.
Yeah, looked like a lefty right there, and she got contact with the ball, but coming across with her left hand there, she wasn't squared up quite correctly, and the ball drove hard to the near side and out of bounds.
So that's 24, so this is serving for game point here, but that goes deep, and Chapman with a point to making it 24-16. And Chapman serve coming over. Dug out nicely by Heitschmidt. Over to Ramsey. Killed by Franklin. Blocked out of bounds. Game one goes Smoky Valley's way.
Yeah, really solid game one. I thought the Vikings maneuvered the ball really well amongst their hitters, moved it from the front to the back nicely, and were able to really, I mean, the run basically, I think if I remember correctly, cut the lead to 4 at one point in time, and they're able to stretch that win out to 9 again. So you kind of give that ebb and flow there a little bit, but you're able to get the seal of the deal there down the stretch, which is what they would need to be able to do. You mentioned Sub-State. Do you want to cover who's in their Sub-State?
Well, it looks like the 2 top teams are Silver Lake High School and Smoky Valley. Silver Lake at 24-11, and Coach Ramsey at quarterback club this morning said they're playing. She didn't expect them to lose, so they will probably end up being the top seed in 23-12 for Smoky Valley. And then you got Osage City at 20-16, followed by Council Grove High School at the host at 18-12, and then 17-16 is St. Mary's High School, then St. George Rock Creek 13-18, Minneapolis 11-7, and southeast of Saline at 7-25. So if the Vikings end up being the number 2 seed, they would most likely play Minneapolis in the first round on Saturday.
Yeah, and when Sub-State hits, you gotta take care of business. You know, it'd be great to be the 1 or the 2 seed, but definitely need to make sure that we come out here and play, or come out there and play the way we need to play. Because you get to that point, and you've got a bunch of teams there that have similar records right down the middle. When you talk about a 20-win team, a 17-win team, a 13-win team, you've got a bunch of teams right there in that midsection that have obviously competed with a number of teams. It's not.
You don't know who they play,
exactly,
so you don't know
and the coaches will know, but at the same time, you'll have a good idea of your comparisons there as well. But I know Coach Ramsey felt confident that they were in one of the sub-states that she wanted them to be in, and a good opportunity for the team. And so now it's just a matter of getting on the floor and taking care of business.
We didn't get starters in the first game. Maybe we got a minute here. We can go over the starters here real quick. Abby Rose out there for the Vikings. Maddie Toll out there for the Vikings. Elise Ramsey out there for the Vikings. Number 14, Aubrey Bolda out there for the Vikings. And the libero is Avery Vanderweg.
Yep.
Chapman starts this one off, first serve. Vanderweg as their libero, gets it set up, gets it over to Rose, and she just dumps it over the middle. There's a nice spike and a nice block. Chapman gets it over. Vikings get a nice set now. We go deep and block nicely. And wow, that was a nice block by Chapman.
Yeah, good rally for Chapman right there. They made a couple of nice plays and were able to get the double block on the outside there. Boulder went up with the swing, but it was blocked and nobody was able to pick it up.
The 1-0 Chapman lead. There's the coach you mentioned saying where she wants the ball to be served. Ramsey set and comes down. Oh, great spike, and trying to save the ball was number 7, Padilla, for Chapman, but she just couldn't get it. It was placed really nicely on the spike. So the Vikings tie it up at 1-1. Just underway, second set. Vikings win the first set 25-16. And you win 2 sets and it's over, right?
2 sets and it's over.
Haxton serve, or that was McKinley Johnson's serve. Chapman gets it over. Johnson with the set. Coming over to Boldra. She gets it, but tipped back over by Rose. Good reaction by Addie Rose. And there's a good save and a good tip over by the Vikings, keeping that rally alive. Comes the set. It's going to go deep, and the point Vikings. Well, a long rally by both teams there. Kept the ball alive.
Yeah, a lot of great dives there. Ladies were able to get a hand on a ball there on some difficult plays, including the block, like you mentioned. Abby Rose picking that ball up and keeping the rally going.
Long serve kept in by Chapman. Ball comes across, now spiked by the Vikings, dug out by Chapman. Nice set, good spike, but good dig by the Vikings. McKinley Johnson has it to Vanderweg. Vanderweg's got to play it because it's right on the deep line. And block, and nicely done by the Vikings. Belle Peters on that block.
Yeah, Belle Peters and Abby Rose both there on the double block. Couldn't tell exactly whose hand it hit off of, but when you get that double there, you like to give them all props.
Yeah, very good job. 3-1 now, Smoky Valley. Good hard serve by McKinley Johnson. Comes a nice spike, dug out by the Vikings, but it's going so deep it's going to go out of bounds. So those spikes, when they come down, if you don't get them up in the air, you have very little chance to go get them when they go deep.
Yeah, and it's always so tough. You got to be at the right angles. You know, you play the percentages there on where the ball's going to come off, but you've got to get the ball in the air and give yourself a second chance.
Ball up. Here comes the spike by Heitzman, but just doesn't get up enough air and goes into the net. Ties the game up at 3-3.
Yeah, the back row attack is a difficult one. You've got to have all the timing down because you got to really get that ball with a downward spin on it.
Good dig by Vanderweg. Set. Tipped by Rose, and it goes out of bounds. Nice shot. Wasn't a kill, but it worked the same way.
Yeah, like I said, anytime you get those attacks, and we love to go for kills that are, at least when I was coaching, I like the off-speed kills. I like the one where you bring them up to the net, you get the double block attack, and you go right over the top of it.
Serve set in there. Little kill. And Chapman with the point to tie the score up at 4-4. So both teams playing very well here early second set.
Yeah, you want to try to be that team that kind of can distance yourself and get kind of a 3, 4, 5-point lead here, and it always puts a lot of pressure on the other club.
This is where the Vikings took off from last game. They were set at 4-4. There's Rose with a nice spike, and that'll be the hit that gets the rally going again. Vikings take it up 5-4, and I think they went on about a 6-0 run there in the first set.
Yeah, always so nice, especially when these are that young of players, to see them play in the way that they are, knowing that the future is definitely bright for Smoky Valley Volleyball.
Served by Rose. Oh, and just hit Franklin with a kill. The dig from Chapman went right over the net, and Franklin just about mistimed her jump, but got enough of it to get it over and into an empty spot. Rose's serve, that's deep, so that kills the rally. At two-point rally that time. And then the rally scoring gives a point to Chapman, so it's 6-5 on the scoreboard. Vikings lead. Always keep looking at the clock thinking there's times running down. There's no time in volleyball, so you don't have to worry about it.
It goes quickly, though, doesn't it?
It really does. McKinley Johnson with a nice set to Belle Peters, and it goes off of the blocker and into an empty spot for a Viking point, 7-5, Smoky Valley. Peters and McKinley Johnson out, and Ramsey and Maddie Toll in for the Vikings. Ramsey will be serving here. She had a good serving sequence in the first match. Set up and tipped over, saved by the Vikings. Franklin with the set, Heitschmidt with the hit. Dug out by Chapman. Chapman with the hit, dug out by Peters. Over, and it goes to Toll. Toll to the Chapman side. Chapman spike, blocked by the Vikings. Good block by Toll and Franklin. Spike by Heitschmidt. Out. Ooh, boy, almost looked like it got
call a
tipped.
touch. Going to call a touch at the net, though, so it's going to be Viking ball, I think.
I thought it did, but I...
Yep.
I'm new enough to volleyball. I haven't ever broadcast. This is the first radio and internet broadcast for the Vikings here. This game is being on the internet only at live.smokyvalley.org, but the second game will be on the radio as well. Dug out by Haxton. Over to Maddie Toll, deep shot and out of bounds, making the score 8-6 here in the second set. Smoky Valley winning the first set 25-16. Deep serve dug out nicely by Haxton up to Franklin. She pushes it up. And Chapman with the deep spike, and they can't handle it.
Got a touch. Got a touch.
In between. So a touch, it went out of bounds. 8-7. Vikings still lead, but Chapman trying to stay close. Toll to Ramsey to Franklin. Tipped and down for a Viking point. That was kind of a quick, just not a very high set, and boy, it just boom, 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 and that went back over.
Yeah, a lot of times you want that quick system there where you get the ball moving very quickly, and it's very difficult for the defense to get the timing down for the blocks.
Yeah. So Addie Heitschmidt to serve now with the Vikings leading 9-7. Good serve, dug out nicely. Oh, and everybody said me, and no. So a point for the Vikings, 10-7 now. Heitschmidt would like to see her go on a little bit of run. Another good serve, dug out nicely. Deep set, and the Vikings can't handle the deep spike. Goes out of bounds off of the Viking hitter, and 10-8 our score. Vikings still lead here in set number 2.
Yeah, that was another hit from Kirkpatrick. Like I said, good all-around player, at least from what our perception is tonight. Gets a nice kill for Chapman.
Serve coming in, dug out nicely by Abby Rose. Release Ramsey with the set, spiked by Toll, but dug out nicely by Chapman. Get it back in the... Ramsey tips it back over, set by Chapman. And spike coming, blocked, dug out by the Vikings. Deep set, saved by Chapman. And over on the third, Franklin keeps it alive. Set to Boldra, taken out by Chapman. And tipped by the Vikings.
Yeah, nice play right there at the net. Again, just kind of coming across the body there. It was a beautiful hit. I couldn't tell if that was Padilla at the net who brought it, but it was a beautiful, beautiful job of coming back across the floor, and Maddie Toll not quite ready for that one.
And that's her right on the line. Abby Rose chose to let it down, and it falls in to tie the game up at 10-10. So Chapman hanging around in this second set.
Yeah, felt like some nice momentum for Smoky there for a while until that last rally seemed to go on forever. Nobody could get quite a great hit on it until Chapman came away with it, and then they get the next point. And looks like they're going to get another point here as well to move in the front, 11-10.
Their first lead since 1-0, and Coach Ramsey will call a timeout to take them. What little momentum Chapman has, it's a good time to take it away. So the Vikings trail in this match now 10-11, and typically these games they go pretty quickly.
Yeah, the volleyball's a pretty fast-paced sport. I mean, when you get things going quick, and really the length is when you get the rallies back and forth and you get the matches that end 25-23 or 26-24. You tend to see the length of the matches because generally you can get a two-set match in about 40-45 minutes, but it's that quickness of getting the ball back on the floor and keeping things moving. And, you know, we do such a nice job of staying with the flow. You get something going, you really want to go right back at it. And Vikings done a great job this particular second set. They've 9 for 10 serving, so done a great job serving the ball, and the only one out was Abby Rose's when she tried to attack that deep corner.
Here's Abby Rose with his dig on the Chapman boulder with a hit. Dug out nicely by Chapman. There's Spike going down, and finding the hole is number 23 Beamer, and Chapman with a 2-point lead, 12-10. Serving is Kavanaugh. Deep serve, dug out nicely. Ramsey with the set. And Toll, good. She got it between the blocker and the net, like you mentioned. And then I think, was that a double hit or was it a catch?
Yeah, kind of a carry once you get there. Her arms came back down. It came down on top of her arms. She tried to get the fist there as quick as she could, but couldn't quite make it.
Well, Franklin now to serve. That's a good serve deep. Dug out nicely. They're not going to get much of a set on the hit, but they find an open spot and go back to a 2-point lead, 13-12.
Yeah, hit that deep corner on the Vikings there. It's a difficult spot. It looked like that time it was Bledsoe, I think, that was able to knock the ball into the deep corner, number 15. And again, kind of attacked that area. You had Bree serving there. She's such a good server, and then she comes out after she serves.
Ramsey with the set to Rose. She just dumps it over. Now dumped over by Chapman. Big spike by Peters, and it's good for a point. Or that was Boulder. That wasn't Peters, that was Boulder. So Boulder with a nice spike. Get the back to a 1-point Chapman lead. 13 Chapman, 12 Smoky Valley.
That was a tough tough three-person rotation there. The Vikings started that rotation up by 2 or 3 and ended it down by 1. So they really got to get some momentum built up here in this last stretch.
McKinley Johnson now serving and just doesn't get over the net. Didn't look like she hit it quite square where she wanted to. So 14-12 now. Chapman with the lead, and they're serving. Vanderweg with the dig. Gets it over to the front line. Tap saved by the Vikings. Good dig. Heitschmidt with a deep spike. And there's a spike dug out by the Vikings. There's Rose with a spike out of good save by Heitschmidt. Bell Peters with his spike, and in the right spot, diving for it was number 11, Elliott, for Chapman, but unable to dig it out, and the Vikings get it back to a 13-14 1-point deficit. Carrington Haxton back in now to serve. Serve comes down, dug out nicely, but almost too close to the net, but they get it over the net in 3. Set to Rose, she dumps it down, it's picked up and set up. Now the hit, a bad hit by Padilla, a sophomore, and the Vikings tie the game up now at 14-14. Haxton with the serve, dug out nicely, set from the front line, and tip, a good dig out by Vanderweg. Rose now with a deep corner shot, but saved by Chapman. Padilla with a block. Rose with a little hit, and it's going to be successful. She hit it to the right spot, and Chapman just tried to keep it alive, but unable to, and Chapman now calls the timeout. Vikings up 15-14.
Yeah, momentum has swung a little bit. I tell you, Abby's really looking to try to get one in the air that she can go up and attack. The sets have come in a little lower than she wants, and she's had to do a little bit of off speed, but she reacted really well, I thought, to the one in the middle there and sent it down to the left-hand side of the far side of the court and able to get a finish there. So far, I didn't do a great job statting in that first set, but this set here, we've got Aubrey Boulder with 2 kills, got Abby Rose with 3, Peters has 2, Heitschmidt has 1, Franklin has 3, and I've got Addie Heitschmidt with 5 digs so far in this set. She's done a great job picking up the ball after the hit and really coming alive. So Vikings find themselves back in front, and last time timeouts were good to Chapman and not good to Smoky, so we'll see what happens.
See what happens here. Haxton with a good serve, dug out by Chapman to the front line, coming around for the block, but the Vikings dig it out nicely. Here comes Heitschmidt with the dig. Oh, nice spike. Rose to... Oh, it didn't get set high enough. Chapman now with the dig, and they're going to get it on the spike and get a point to tie the game back up. That was a fun rally, though. Each team having opportunities but not converting.
Yeah, it was. And like you said, not quite the right timing on that hit in the middle for the Vikings. They had to adjust, and then Chapman made them pay for it right after that.
Serve for Chapman. Vanderweg with the dig out to Rose. Long hit, saved by Chapman. Set up nicely. Oh, a little back kind of flip by the front spiker. Here's Vanderweg with a hit. Goes and dug out by Chapman. Nice hit. And out of bounds. They thought it was tipped. The coach wanted it to be tipped at the net, but I don't think it was. Point Smoky Valley.
Tough to see here, but it didn't look like it took off in any different spin or anything like that. So it looked like the ball kept rotating the same way.
Oh, and Rose, who's done such a good job serving, doesn't even get that one to hit the net. That's kind of an awkward one, but score tied at 16-16. So Chapman serving. Dug out nicely by Haxton, but too close to the net. And point for Chapman.
Yeah, it didn't stay low enough. Ball kind of shot off there at a tough angle. You want to really get under that ball, pop it up to your setter at the setter spot. That one took off.
16-17.
Beautiful, beautiful pass.
There's a nice dig by Chapman. Save it. Now over the net by the Vikings. Oh, neither team looked like they wanted to get that three-set setup, and they just kind of hit the ball back over the net real quickly. And Chapman now forges out to a 2-point 16-18 lead. They're coming in. This time dug out nicely. Heitschmidt with a little tip over. Saved by Chapman. Little tip over by Chapman. And somebody in the net.
Yeah, it looks like the Vikings rub up. And again, any part of the body, any part of the jersey that touches the net, you know, Bree didn't seem to react like she hit it, but just close enough that it's a call.
3-point Viking lead. Franklin with a hit. Dug out nicely by Chapman. That one's going to be too close to that. Oh, Chapman. You can reach over the net when you're up on top.
If it's your turn to hit, the defense cannot go up and go over if you still have a hit available.
That one just crawls over the net, but saved by the Vikings. Dug out. Franklin gets it over. Chapman set. Spike, and not over the net. Viking point. And Chapman had a 4-point lead at 20-16, and now the Vikings get a point on the rally, scoring at 20-17.
I think that's the most the Vikings have been down tonight, 20-16, that 4-point deficit. So great opportunity here for them to battle back here in this next set of rotations.
Ramsey in to serve for the Vikings. Gets a long serve, dug out nicely, set. The Vikings go up the block. It's tipped, but they get the save. And Heitschmidt over and out of bounds. No, save by Chapman. They did a nice job and then found a hole. They're kind of on her back foot, leaning backwards, and hit it over and found a nice open spot.
Yeah, you hate to see that, especially the effort you gave to be able to make that play. We had a good hit over there and just aren't able to get the commitment there to finish that point.
Toll with the ball, saved by the Vikings, over by Rose. A long hit by Chapman out of bounds. And Chapman with a 22-17 5-point lead. And Coach Ramsey will call a timeout. Yeah, it's been all Chapman. Every rally has benefited them here in this second set.
Really has, and they've responded really well after timeouts. They've come out here and done a very nice job of being able to build up points. They got a little bit of the momentum here in game two, and that's one of the things you don't like to let get away from you. Also want to throw a shout out to our line judges tonight, Kevin Steinert helping us out, and Kelsey Sims. A very thankless job sometimes to be a line judge because it gets pretty heated sometimes and it's tough to make some of those calls, but the two of them have done a great job here so far, and we thank them for being here tonight. And
do you know the referees?
I do. We got Mike Jantz here and Jane Holtzrichter here as well, both from Abilene. Of course, I coached against Mike for many, many years. Gave him many of his wins en route to 5,000 that he has or whatever. And Jane's been an official for some time, and she's done a lot of the games I was coaching in as well.
Chapman serving in, dug out by the Vikings, set up, and Toll with a little dump over the net, but dug out by Chapman. Here comes a hit. Dug out by Rose nicely. Chapman went all the way over the net. Now the Vikings going to hit it back over. They get it over the net, so no spikes available. Little dump over, saved by the Vikings. Ramsey, nice Franklin hit. Going to have to go back to chance to get it, and they don't. Good effort by both teams on that rally point.
Tell you what, the Vikings just stayed alive because they gave Chapman 3 or 4 opportunities. You don't like to just send that ball back over the net and let him keep pounding on you, and they did. Luckily, we did pick up all those, and when we finally had our first chance at really getting an attack, we were able to finish that play off.
Heitschmidt with the serve. Vikings down 22-18 now. Good job by Ramsey digging it out, and good job by the Vikings. Ball got down, it was ruled down. Chapman kept playing the ball like it didn't hit the ground, but Jantz called it down. So Vikings now trailing by 3, 22-19. Heitschmidt serve. Dug out nicely, set at the net. Spike coming, blocked. Vikings keep it alive. Toll over to Boldra. Again, a spike coming and out of bounds. Vikings with another point. A little rally by Smoky Valley, down by 5. Now Chapman calls a timeout. How many timeouts do you get a game?
Both teams get 2 timeouts per game. And then, again, it looks like I think Chapman's used one this match, or won this game, and I think the Vikings have used both of theirs, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they have.
And so, again, another great little rally for Smoky. Again, you see the momentum swing in this game. This is a sport so much about momentum. You just get 2 or 3 or 4 points in a row, and you really put pressure on teams. And, you know, this 22-20 score, a lot of times you'll see Smoky Valley catch up here and make it 22 all and maybe lose the next 2 points and get 3 or 4 right after that again. So a lot of things happening.
Tell us about some of the stats that Coach sent us today, and McKinley Johnson is doing a great job on assists, and Elise Ramsey doing a great job.
Yeah, 332 assists and 200 for McKinley Johnson this year, 279 for Elise. That means they're setting the ball up perfectly, and our young ladies are getting kills. They're just doing a phenomenal job. 120 kills this year for Addie Heitschmidt. Belle Peters adding 45 to that mix as well. Bree's got 172, Abby 226. Beautiful serve there as well by Heitschmidt again.
And blocked by the Vikings, but Chapman keeps it alive. Coming over the back edge and down by the Vikings. Good rally by the Vikings to get it to 22-21.
Yeah, Addie Heitschmidt and Bree Franklin both there on that block. I think Maddie Toll. Sorry, Maddie Toll and Bree. Maddie gets the contact on that one and did a fantastic job.
Heitschmidt getting some good serves, and there's a deep shot saved by Franklin. Now up to Boldra, and it's in. Nice ace or nice kill by Boldra to tie the game up at 22-22. So coming from 22-17, that's a nice rally for the Vikings.
Beautiful rally for the Vikings. They're doing a great job here finding the spots and really playing with a lot of energy here in this last 10, 12 points and really pulling themselves back into this match.
Heitschmidt doing a good job of getting the serves in. There's a nice hard serve. Chapman with a nice set and out of bounds. It'll go to Chapman, so they get the break now after the 23-22 1-point lead, and they're serving.
Yeah, nice hit out of the middle, attacking that middle block and getting that ball to take off to the far side. Puts them back up 23-22 for Chapman.
Dug out nicely by Heitschmidt. Set up. Franklin with a little dump, but right to Chapman. Good set. Blocked. Saved by the Vikings. And somebody in the net for Smoky Valley.
Going to call Boldra in the net on that far side. So that's going to make it 24-22. Vikings behind. Need to pick it up here.
Match point here, or game point. Toll with the block, and it's in for Chapman. So Chapman wins game 2 by the score of 22-25.
Yeah, great early part of the match for Smoky, and then Chapman had a really good job of building back up and taking a lead, like we said, by about 5. And then Smoky cuts that 5-point lead down and actually ties it up at 22 all, only to see the next 3 points in a row go back to Chapman. So again, the swings all going through there. Addie Heitschmidt 7 for 7 serving in that particular set. She did a great job. She also had 5 digs and a kill. Boldra, Rose, and Franklin all each with 3 kills in that particular one. And we were talking a little bit. Abby looks like she's leading on the season with 226 kills. Bree with 172. Bree's leading the CKL conference in hitting efficiency with that 362 that she's hitting, and Abby is number 2 at 333. And like I said, there's a mathematical equation that goes into those efficiencies, sure. But it really does exemplify. If you're hitting anywhere above those 300 numbers, that means you're getting a lot of kills off your hits. That means you're having a lot of successful hits, and they're doing a great job. And I think a lot of that is a testament to the passing that the ladies have, and also second, the setting that they have from McKinley Johnson and Elise Ramsey. You've got 2 quality setters there, 2 quality young setters who do such a fantastic job of keeping the game alive and setting up their hitters. So it comes down to set 3 now. And
is set 3 a 25-point match, or is it like
set 3
college goes 5, but then their last one is only at 15? So
yeah, set 3 is a full 25. A lot of times in JV or sub-varsity levels, you'll play to 15 just to kind of keep the matches going. You know, I coached in those years when we made the switch from rally score or from side out scoring, and then we switched to a 5-set gig there for a little while, and man, that got out of control. I remember coming back from collegiate, and it was midnight or 1 in the morning because we played 5 sets that night, and it was still in the kind of the infancy of trying to figure out this scoring, and eventually the decision was made: best 2 out of 3. All of them played to 25.
I saw him do a coin flip, so you get to choose which side of the court you want to start on. Is that the...
Your coin flip is to decide who's going to serve, and then the second, I mean, it's kind of like football. You get to decide side and serve. So sometimes teams will actually choose side if they think the best option is for them to stay on the motivation side. Sometimes you have different teams and different views on how you go about those teams.
So they go out there and make sure they get the scoring right and get the starters right. They hand you a sheet. What does this sheet tell you?
Yeah, this is the lineup sheet. So this lets me know that we're back to the scenario where we serve first again. So we're going to have, we serve first again. So we've got McKinley in the server's position. So she's going to start in P1 there.
I see. And her serve is in, dug out nicely by Chapman, libero. Spike coming and out of bounds. Chapman breaks on top, 1-0. A good block. Viking had 2 blockers there, but the ball goes out of bounds. Like you said, it goes sideways on the block, and Chapman with a 1-0 lead. Second serve dug out by Vanderweg. Rose with the tip, and it's saved by Chapman. Well, Rose tried to tip it over, and Chapman right there to knock it back over into the Viking court for a 2-0 lead.
You know, what you see right now is a continuation of that momentum from set 2, and Chapman brought it right away. And sometimes it's not bad to hit into the blocks if you can hit it with glancing way, and that's what they did with their first kill.
Saved now, big spike coming by the Vikings, and right back is Belle Peters with a nice spike, and the Vikings get a point, trailing 2-1.
And there's another good example. She did hit into the block, but she hits the block in such a way that the ball comes off to the near side here, and nobody has a chance to get it.
Oh, Haxton in to serve now. Dug out by Chapman, set at the net. And Spike going to be deep, tie the score up at 2-2. You said this is a server in order, so what?
So basically we just had our first server was McKinley, and then 14 should have been back serving, but she subs out there for Carrington, so Carrington becomes the server in that next one.
That's what that means. Vikings with the set. Heitschmidt blocked, didn't get over the net, and a point for Chapman to make it 3-2 Chapman here early.
So when you're the official, you're taking that 14 out of the match for 20. Can't remember what Carrington's number is, so that means 11, sorry. So that means Carrington's the only one that can come back in for that player later. They could do another sub, but Carrington has to come back into that spot.
And that block by the Vikings goes out of bounds to give Chapman a 4-2 lead here early third set. Each team has 1 set. We're in the third and deciding set here at Smoky Valley Gym. Vanderweg with the dig. Abby with the tip over. Chapman digs it out. Spike coming, blocked by the Vikings. But Vikings in the net. The Vikings in the net, 5-2 now, Chapman early lead. And out of bounds on the serve. Heitschmidt wanted to hit it. Either somebody told her or she had her foot on the line, so she knew it was going to be out of bounds. Good reaction by Heitschmidt.
Yeah, a lot of your goals are placement. You want to put yourself at the line and know exactly how far you are away.
Rose's serve, saved by Chapman, tipped, and point Chapman got down on the floor. So Chapman with a 3.6-3 lead here in the early going. Serve coming from Chapman with a 3-point lead. Dug out nicely by the Vikings. Over to Belle Peters and blocked. And is that better to have just a 1 blocker? Do you have more of a chance of it being deflected out of bounds?
Yeah, a lot of times what's happening is they're not getting that second blocker over there fast enough, and sometimes that's part of that timing. But, yeah, if you have 1 blocker there and you can attack her, you definitely want to go after a 1 versus a 2.
So 4-6 Vikings trail. Ramsey now serving. Good serve, low. Here comes the set. Spike, and Vikings save it. Franklin with a little tip to the back corner, but saved by Chapman. Chapman blocked, dug out by Chapman. Hit coming and blocked, and down point Chapman. The Vikings with 2 blockers there, but it just went off the side. Nobody there to help out on the little block that went down. 3-point Chapman lead. Vikings returning, set up. Chapman digs it out. Long spike coming. Out to Rose, to Ramsey, to Toll. That one's dug out by Chapman. Spike on, and out of bounds. Good block by Maddie Toll, but it goes out of bounds for a 4-point Chapman lead at 8-4. Crowd trying to cheer their team on here in home senior night for Smoky Valley. Dug out by Chapman, spike and down. Good block by Maddie Toll that time.
Yeah, Maddie Toll there, and like I said, Bree Franklin there as well. And I always like to give credit to both of them on that double block, just because one of them obviously sets it up to where you got to go somewhere with it, and it makes it difficult because you can't really cross the net with the ball.
Dug out by Libero for Chapman, set at the net. And good job by Toll and Franklin. Again, both there. One of them got the hand over on the... Got it down, 6 for the Vikings, 8 for Chapman, so a little 2-point rally here. Heitschmidt serving good. Set up, spike coming. Nicely done. Chapman had everybody in the front zone there, and that was wide open and deep. A good point by the Vikings to pull within 1. Heitschmidt doing a great job of serving. Her serve again. This one's deep and just barely deep. Boy, it was really close, but called out. 9-7 Chapman lead.
Like that aggressiveness. You like her being able to attack that back line and see if she can get one back there, and they all gave it up, so it was just unfortunate it landed out.
Toll hits it, saved by Franklin with a hit, and wow. That's one of those she couldn't do anything with it. The Chapman girl tried to dig the spike out, but it just kind of sailed a little bit and went up by her shoulder.
Yeah, and again, any part of the body keeps it's live, so you can even kick a ball.
Yeah.
Kicking is perfectly fine.
That serve by Franklin is out, so Vikings on a little bit of a lull here. Can't quite get the serves in, and Libero Vanderweeg back in, Franklin out for the moment. Chapman serves, Toll hits it, Vanderweeg hits it. Now it's got to go over by Heitschmidt, and it does. A little quick hit by Chapman, and now that one's going to go out. Vikings get the point. With some of those quick hits, you can't hardly follow it quick enough.
Yeah, you've really got to be alert and active. There's a lot of activity that takes place here, and like a beautiful dig there by Abby Rose, and forced the Chapman player to try to hit a quick ball down, and unfortunately for her, she hit it just a little too deep.
10-9, Vikings serving. McKinley Johnson, the server, over the net into Viking territory. Smashed by Rose, and that one got between the blocker and the net, and the Vikings tie it up at 10-10. That was an excellent set and spike.
Yeah, great set by McKinley Johnson. She put the ball at the height of Abby Rose's jump, and she's able to put the ball down off the block.
Great serve by Johnson. Comes Chapman with the dig. Good job by the Vikings to get it back over the net. Here comes the spike, blocked, and out of bounds on the block. Vikings, and Chapman gets the point, up now 10-11. Left-handed serve coming. Heitschmidt gets it. McKinley Johnson and Boulder with a perfect spike. Nicely done by the Vikings team there.
Yeah, nice kill there by Aubrey Boulder. A great back set by McKinley Johnson, bringing it to the right side, and Boulder sends it across the court for a winner.
They really play about 7 or 8 deep. Is that what they play now?
Yeah, generally.
Spike at the net. Knocked over by Rose, knocked over again by Rose, and boy, what persistence by Abby Rose at the net.
Yeah, if you can get up there and get that first one and get that ball to come back over the net, you've kind of got him at your whim at that point in time, and that's exactly what Abby did there.
Vikings with a 1-point lead, serve out, so it ties it up at 12-12. The Vikings back in this one after trailing, I think it was 4-8 was the biggest deficit they've faced here in this game. 1-1 each team here, so this is the deciding match. Dug out nicely by Vanderweeg. Boy, way deep. Rose has to get it over and does. And Chapman, oh my goodness. Vikings were letting everybody else hit it, and nobody went to get it. That was kind of a oops point there.
Yeah, timing issue right there. Timing.
A serve by Chapman, dug out by Heitschmidt. McKinley Johnson over to Heitschmidt. Good spike from the mid court. Didn't really have to jump for that one, just get it over.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just the down, being able to get the ball to spin the way you want it with a little bit of top spin to it.
Rose serve, dug out by Chapman. Spike coming, blocked back over by the Vikings. Now tipped over. Franklin gets it over to McKinley Johnson, to Peters. So Peters with the spike point, and the Vikings up by 1, 14-13.
Yeah, 6 assists so far in this game by McKinley Johnson. She's moving the ball around well, getting her hitters involved, doing a great job.
Chapman digs, set up, and spike at the net. Oh, great job by Haxton to keep that ball alive. Franklin gets it over. Chapman digs, set up at the net. Blockers there. Oh, Rose can't handle it. Just out of her reach. She tried to get over there and handle it and couldn't.
Yeah, ball was just tipped a bit at the net, and so it definitely took off at a different angle there. And so she's mid-dive when that happens and got to readjust. That's not the easiest to do.
14-14 here in the third set. Each team has a 1 victory. And Haxton with the ball up to McKinley Johnson, to Abby Rose over. Chapman digs, set, and spike at the net. The Vikings tip it back over. Chapman again set it, and in. Point Chapman. They recovered from that little quick tip by Rose and made a point out of it.
It's really been a nice back and forth third set here. They've gone, like I said, both teams have had a little bit of momentum, but right now it's just nip and tuck.
Chapman 1-point lead. Here comes the set by McKinley Johnson to Franklin. Deep, it's dug out easily. Spike coming, good dig by the Vikings. Heitschmidt with it over the net, set up. Chapman, blockers coming, and on the Viking side of the net, they were right there, but it went in between them. And Chapman now with a 14-16 2-point lead.
And that ball didn't come off Kavanaugh's hands quite the way she wanted it to, but it worked out to her advantage as it trickles down the blockers right into the net.
Rose with the dig. McKinley Johnson. Here's Heitschmidt with a kill. Blocked by Chapman. Kept it alive. Now block coming by the Vikings. Get the block to McKinley Johnson. To Peters. Blocked but saved by Chapman. Spike coming. Blocked and out of bounds. Point Chapman. They're just getting the little breaks now and making them ready, and the Vikings call a timeout.
Yeah, it's a good back and forth match right now. Like I said, that was a great rally by both teams. Each got some very good hits and a lot of contacts on the blocks. Just nobody able to put the ball down. And I was just getting ready to say, it doesn't feel like anybody's really taking charge of the match until Chapman did on those last 2 or 3 points. Felt like they were able to get the better of the hits than what we had been getting for a while, and it just felt like they were controlling the momentum just a little bit more. Otherwise, right before that, it was just one of those matches that just kind of felt like you were giving away points and getting points here or there. Now it's going to be important for Smoky to come out after this timeout, establish themselves. This is actually what you kind of like. You want to be receiving that serve because you have the chance to get the first kill of this. It's going to be really important to make a really good pass, have the set you want, go to the player you want to get this kill, and drive it home.
And on the court right now for Smoky Valley, Heitschmidt, Rose, Haxton, Peters, Johnson, and Franklin. Serve coming from Chapman. Dug out nicely by Heitschmidt to the deep line, so you didn't get it set up nicely to get that spike that you wanted. Chapman does, little dump over, and right in there, boy, she saw that opening up and just dumped it over the blockers for a 4-point, 18-14
And you
lead.
called that perfectly. Didn't get the setup the way we wanted to, handed it over to Chapman, and they dropped the ball right where they want. So again, Smoky's got to start this with a good pass.
Good set this time by Johnson. Franklin with a good kill, and that's exactly what you want.
And then you've got to get the ball in system. If you get it in system, you get the pass to the setter, right at the setter spot, and you have a chance to go to any of your 3 hitters, you really have the command of the game at that point in time.
Ramsey and Toll in now for the Vikings. Ramsey with the serve. Set. Spike and out of bounds. Point Chapman. So we just can't get our blockers lined up quite right. And that one blocked out of bounds. So point Chapman. 18. Is that right? 18-16, right? 19-16. Yeah, I knew there was another point there. Rose to Franklin. Good dig by Chapman on that hit. The long hit. Franklin tips it up over to Toll. She gets it over. Chapman the reset now. Ball coming in deep, and the Vikings score to make it 19-16. Oh, they put the point on the wrong side, I think. Was that their Chapman's point?
No. I'm probably going to butcher this name, but Peyton Souther right there. She was the one that had that dig that kept that rally alive for Chapman. I was really impressed how she pulled that ball up. It was a really good shot from the Vikings. She dug it up. Unfortunately, Chapman hits the ball deep there on that last hit.
Heitschmidt again to serve. Deep serve. Saved nicely by Chapman. Ball coming. Good save by Heitschmidt. Oh, Vikings excellent to get
Beautiful
that over.
Hustle.
And a little tip by Chapman, number 23, making a great little tip at the net beamer. And they take a 20-16 4-point lead here. Vikings need to get this rally stopped.
Great hustle by Elise Ramsey to even get that ball over the net on the third play.
Serve coming, set up by Heitschmidt to Ramsey to Toll. Good job, beautifully done. And the Vikings with the point. It seems so easy when you get a nice, good set at the net.
Yeah, that's the most important part, is once you get that pass where it needs to be, that's the most important part.
So 20.
Having some scoring issues here for a second, so.
It should be 20 to. Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, there we go. 20-17. I thought it was 3. Okay, Franklin to serve. Vikings trail by 3. Set coming over to the outside hitter. Good set. Here comes Ramsey to Boldra and couldn't get it over the net. Good effort there. Just mishit just a little bit. And it's 21-17. Chapman with the lead. So Chapman now ready to serve.
Timeout, Smoky Valley.
Okay.
Well, we want to remind people again, we are on live.smokyvalley.org. Later tonight, there will be a second match here right after this one between Chapman and Nickerson. It will be on live.smokyvalley.org, but you will have to get out of this particular viewing and click the next one down on the list to be able to watch that. So if you're from Nickerson or from Chapman and you want to watch that next match, make sure you click on the correct one. And then later tonight, we'll be doing the third match again, and we'll be doing that on 95.5 as well. So if you can't be around your radio, if you can't be around Wi-Fi to be able to watch this match, you can listen to it on the road or listen to it and watch it on live.smokyvalley.org. And again, it will be the bottom one on that list as well. Mike Rose doing a great job putting these on for us.
So Chapman serving now with a 4-point lead. Toll with the dig, Ramsey with the set 2, and a little bit deep, but it gets saved by Chapman. Hard hit, comes over to the Viking side. Ramsey with the set, up to Boldra. Boldra gets it over, but Chapman dig with it out. Here comes the spike. Good save by the Vikings. Toll over to Boldra. Boldra with a hit, up to Chapman. Good hit by Rose. Another hit blocked by the Vikings. Long rally point here. Vanderweg with it to Ramsey. Tipped out by Chapman. Deep shot by Toll. Now back at the net. Dug out by Vanderweg. Over to Boldra. Blocked. Good save by Heitschmidt. Now back to Heitschmidt. She hits it deep. Good dig by Chapman. Long rally here. Back over. Now Chapman. Rose with it again. Wow, that was like a 15 or 16 hit point.
Yeah, you had one of those rallies, and neither team really got a great hit any of that momentum time. It was a lot of sloppy volleyball where nobody got the great contact that they really wanted, but it was hustle volleyball. That's what you love to see. And Addie Heitschmidt picks up a great ball there and keeps the game alive, and eventually Abby Rose able to get that kill.
McKinley Johnson in to serve, dug out nicely by Chapman, set at the net. And good job by the Vikings to kick it over. And good job, Abby Rose and Boulder at the net to keep that one back. A quick point rally. And now Chapman's going to call a timeout to stop the Viking momentum.
Momentum is huge in this game. We can't say it enough. And Smoky comes out of that timeout, has a great rally play right there and able to pick up the point. Once you get that point, you get that excitement on your team, you have an excellent opportunity to be able to get the next point. And sure enough, they end up getting that block down to be able to make it a 21-19 match right now set. And an opportunity here, but you got to really play aggressive but smart volleyball down the stretch.
Yeah, it takes a job, and I just see a couple of our tennis players over there. I want to give a shout out to Smoky Valley Tennis, taking 6th place as a team last week.
6th place as a team, yep.
Congratulations to a great tennis season for Coach John Bell. And McKinley Johnson ready to serve again. It's up and down. Good job. Set at the net. And deep. Deep by Chapman. 1 point for Smoky Valley. The 1 point game, 21-20 here in the third set. Vikings and Chapman tied at 1-1. Here comes McKinley Johnson serve again, dug out nicely, set, spike, down, Chapman point, 22-20.
Beautiful angle on that hit. She was able to hit the ball from the far side back to the near side and really was able to put the ball down in a tough spot for the Vikings to pick up.
So 22-20, Chapman serving. Vanderweg gets the dig. And Pill Peters can't get it over the net, 23-20. Vikings trailing by 3 now. Late third set. Vanderweg gets the dig. McKinley Johnson the set. Rose the spike. And it goes out of bounds. Point Vikings. 23-21.
Nice set by Johnson that time. She's able to hit Rose at the extension of her jump, and she's able to pound that ball home. It should be 23-21, I believe. Smoky Valley trailing by 2 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, you're right. McKinley or Carrington Haxton now at the serve for the Vikings. Crucial point here. Dug out by Chapman, set at the net. Coming around and blocked by Vikings. Heitschmidt and Rose at the net. And it falls in for a Viking point, 23-22. Vikings still trail by a point.
Blockers are doing a great job turning their hands, making sure that they're getting the ball back in play.
High serve, dug out nicely. Set coming, little dump over. Good job by McKinley Johnson to get where she needed to be. Carrington Haxton goes deep with it. Now set at the net. Spike coming and in. Chapman with a big point there to take a 24-23 lead. 24-22, isn't it?
Yeah, 24-22.
There we go. Here's game point coming for Chapman now. Vikings have to get a stop. Serve coming. Ready to go. Here we are for game point serve for Chapman. Vanderweg has the dig. McKinley Johnson the set. Back to Rose. Deep and good. Wow, beautiful point by the Vikings. 23-24, but now you got to make sure your defense is good. You get the serve over, and you got to make sure you get to stop. Rose's serve in. Set. Spike by Chapman. Saved by Rose. McKinley Johnson to Heitschmidt. Blocked. And out. 24-24. That was close.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to hope and pray that ball's going to land where you want it to land.
Rose with the serve, dug out by Chapman. Dumped over. And, boy, what a quick little dump by their up person, number 22 in there. Souther. And they have a 25-24 lead. Got to win by 2. Tense third set. Dug out by Heitschmidt, over to Johnson, to Franklin. Down and dug out by Chapman. Comes the spike and out of bounds. Game point, Chapman. Chapman wins it 26-24. Wow, what a finish by Chapman.
Yeah, I tell you, coming back from that first set and being able to play the way they did in the second and third and finishing strong in the second, and then able to just hold off a Viking rally in the third to be able to get the win. Hats off to Chapman. I thought they played extremely well. I thought the Vikings made a few more mistakes, I think, than they probably are used to making, and I think that really comes back to bite you in such a close match like that.
Oh, it does. You got to execute, and execution and rally and momentum, like you said. That's just a key ingredient to this match, and Chapman just got the momentum at the right time.
Yeah, they really did. I thought overall the Vikings had a pretty good overall match. Like I said, didn't get the stats as well as I wanted to in the first one, but Abby Rose, I had her down for 8 total kills, adding to what she's done already this year. Bree Franklin, I had her with 5. Aubrey Boldra had 4. Belle Peters had 5. I had, in those last 2 sets, I had McKinley Johnson with 13 assists, and 9 of those came in that last set. Elise Ramsey had 4, and just a plethora of good serving. Unfortunately, again, a few missed serves there early in that third set that was not real indicative of what the Vikings do, and I thought, again, those come back to haunt you late in the match.
And the coach said at quarterback club this morning how they've been peaking and playing so good. So I'm sure she'll be a little disappointed in their execution out there on the court today.
Yeah, and again, one of those little reminders that you can use as you head into sub-state that anybody, anytime can take you. And again, I apologize for not knowing Chapman's record a little bit better as we come onto this venue. But I know they've had other matches, and Chapman's a very solid squad by all means. But still, I think when you feel like you knock off a number one team in 3A on Saturday, you feel like you can come into your house on senior night and your last match at home and be able to take care of business with two teams that you feel like you can beat. And play well against. I know they're good squads, don't get me wrong, but you want to use that momentum coming off of Saturday to build on tonight, and unfortunately not able to do that here in the first one.
And now you take on a Nickerson team that for several years has been kind of one of the dominant teams in the CKL.
Yeah, and they've not only been really dominant in the CKL, but they've been very, very good across the state. I mean, they've been a team that's been reckoned with here for quite a while. I believe they've been ranked in the state during some of the segments of the year as well. I was going to check real quick to see where we were at as far as rankings here this particular season. See if I could pop that up here real quick. It looks like week 6 rankings. Yeah, Nickerson ranked 8th in the state coming in tonight. 22-12 was their record at the end of last week. So again, a very good squad. Going to be a great second match for the Vikings tonight to be able to play well and do what they have to do.
And that'll wrap up our broadcast for this game. Again, it's on live.smokyvalley.org. If you're from Chapman or Nickerson and want to watch the match, you'll have to go down to the next line on the viewing broadcast there. It'll have your game listed. You can click there and watch, and then we'll be back for audio to join the video in Game 3 roughly at 7 o'clock. Thanks for listening.